Welcome to the Moms Make Money podcast. I'm your host, Jenny. I'm the owner of Moms Make Money Collective, a podcast and visibility strategist and mom of two. Many moms feel like we need to sacrifice our careers for our children, but I wholeheartedly believe that we can have a thriving business and family at the same time. In this podcast, we're going to be diving into the ins and outs of running a business as a mom and getting real and raw about all things parenting. So buckle up because we're about to go all in. Hey, Michelle. Welcome to the Moms Make Money podcast. I'm so excited to have you here. So first off, could you just tell us a little bit about yourself and how you make money online?
Yes, I am so excited to be here. I have been an influencer content creator for 16 years. I actually started with a blog and
Mm.
YouTube. And back in the day, before people were even calling content creators or influencers, I was blogging on Blogger. So I am someone who started a side hustle back in the day, all about beauty and lifestyle. I started to do my hair online, started a YouTube channel, and it went viral one day. And I was like, wow, okay, people are brands are coming to me now to like pay me to write an article about them, to feature them in my videos. And so I thought that that was really amazing how you can make money from like your skills and expertise and things that you love. That
Mhm.
is what really has opened my eyes to all of this. And I have been just having multiple streams of income and creating different lanes for myself online. I started a digital marketing agency with my husband after being fired from my job back in 2016 in healthcare,
Mhm.
and I decided to bet on myself. I built a podcast that has almost 500 episodes. Well, it has 500 episodes. I've been doing it 5 years and really making money from that as well, like having ads and sponsorships. So I'm really excited because I love helping women, especially moms, right, to be able to tap into your skills and expertise, but also make money online doing it and not burn it out. Like, doing it in the way that like works for your life. Like you could sell digital products, which we were
Mhm.
just talking about before we got on here doing that. And so I'm just someone who's very multi-passionate and really have been leveraging social media for the last 16 years to build and make money online. And it's been amazing. And I love sharing that with other people.
Yeah, I love that. I did not realize you got your start with blogging. I actually did too. So I had started a blog back in 2014, I think it was. It was like lifestyle, beauty, all the things. And I did that for a while. And then when I had my first kid in 2020, I kind of like let go of the blogging thing because I had had my business, my face business. So I was like, I can't really do both. And plus, I was also like kind of not wanting to share my family online. Like, I didn't want to share my kids. I'm kind of a big believer in not putting your children online and using them as content. So I didn't really know how to integrate that without featuring my kids at the time. So I kind of just let it go. And yeah, but that's so funny. I had no idea you got your start that way because I did too. And yeah, it feels like such a long time ago because back then Instagram was so new and people were using like all the little filters that came on Instagram. And your posts were getting 500 likes without any effort. It was a wild time.
A wild time indeed.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Well, cool. So today we're kind of talking about visibility. So getting visible in different ways and showing up online and all that. And I know one of the things that you say is that visibility is currency. So can you kind of talk a little bit more about what that really means for today's entrepreneur, especially moms who are growing their businesses in part-time hours?
Yeah, I think that social media has just changed in general. It used to be super easy, like you said, on Instagram to get 500 likes, to get people to follow you, but
Hmm.
it's just a different space. Like, I feel like the whole digital space, even TikTok and all these other platforms, YouTube, the first thing is just to really think about what type of platform do you really like and how can you fit it into your life? Like, maybe Instagram isn't the platform for you, but you start a podcast.
Mm.
Maybe you like YouTube. Maybe you want to blog and you want to leverage Pinterest. So, really, starting there, right? And saying, where do I want to be and like what makes the most sense and what do I actually enjoy? Because
Yeah.
social media has changed so much. And when it comes to visibility, you want to be like when someone thinks of how you help people, like what problem you solve, you want to be the number one choice. And no, you don't have to show up 5 times a week, posting 16 times a day. You could create a plan that works for you. This is what I teach my clients, like a 3-step plan, like that works for you. The content has to make sense. It has to have a goal. You want to be driving people towards somewhere else, but not burning out and trying to just be on every trend, chase
Mm,
everything. Because, like you said, we're moms, right? And so that seems stressful for me to be able to do that when, in fact, I know that it is possible for us to be visible. And when I say currency, I mean, if you show up, if you get in front of more people, however that strategy is, because there's so many different ways. Like we talked
mm.
about a few ways before we got on here. It's so many different ways to do it, but what fits your lifestyle? Because when you're visible, you have the better chances of more people finding you, to DM you, to sign up to work with you, to join your webinar, to do all the things that you are creating to generate income from. But if you aren't visible, people can't they won't know about you. They won't know where to find you. And again, it's not being everywhere, being on every platform all the time. Of course, people may look at me and say, "Oh my gosh, well, you're on every platform." But let's take this back to like we were talking that's 16 years of visibility. So if you're someone who's just starting or it's been a few years, just think about again the right platforms that work best for your life.
Yeah, yeah. I think the key here is really sustainable visibility and realistic visibility. Like, what is going to be something that you can realistically commit to? Like you said, being on 20 different platforms is not going to serve you well. It's not going to serve your audience well. And you're going to burn out really, really quickly. So, pick, like I always say, just start to pick one platform and then get consistent with that. And then, from there, you can add more. But trying to do like 15 different platforms in your first week of starting your business or your first month or even your first couple years, like that's a recipe for burnout. And I don't recommend that to anyone. So, I mean, even when you are experienced in business, you don't need to be on all the platforms because like your audience is probably not there. Like, I don't think my audience is on LinkedIn. Like, I'm aspiring to work with moms who want to start businesses or already have businesses. They are probably not on like LinkedIn. I mean, they might be, but if they still have a corporate job, or some of them might if they target people on LinkedIn. But as a whole, they're probably not on LinkedIn. So why would I spend my time and energy there, right? It doesn't really make sense. And just like think about what works for you, what works for your audience. It's not just about what you enjoy. You want your audience to be there too. Like if you really like LinkedIn and your audience doesn't care for it, they're not on that platform, sorry, but you can't really be on LinkedIn because your people aren't going to find you there. So you got to find a platform that is both something that you enjoy and your audience also hangs out on too.
Absolutely. It has to feel good.
Yep, for sure, for sure. So I know a lot of people, I've seen this a lot. People say, oh, visibility is so hard. I don't feel like showing up. I feel overwhelmed about being visible. And so, why do you feel like that is such a hard thing for people to commit to? Do you think it's mindset, strategy, or something else entirely, or even a mix of all three?
I definitely think it's a mix. I think consistency is key. And I know that's like a broken record, but it really is because here's the thing, if you're not consistent with anything, like nothing's going to happen. I think that sometimes we get in our own heads and we want things to be perfect or our content. And even me, like even myself sitting here today, like why just post the content? You never know who can see it. It could literally change your life. Social media has changed people's lives. That's what I like to think about. I don't even like to think about it like, oh my God, I got to post this content. I'm like, oh my goodness, I get to post this content so that somebody maybe could see it and maybe they could sign up to work with me or share it with somebody else who, needs it. I think we get in our heads too much, especially moms. Like, oh my gosh, it's not the perfect time. It's not right. I don't have any makeup on or the kids are in the background. Maybe people wanna see the real raw you, maybe building with the kids in the background. Everybody has
Hmm.
kids. Lots
Hmm.
everyone listen, this is a mom's podcast.
Yeah.
You have kids. So we can't hide the kids, right? I mean, of course, I know some people don't wanna share their kids online, but what I'm saying is like they're in the background running around like things are
Yeah.
going on. Show the raw of you building this.
Right.
I think that that's what people really wanna see. So it's that coupled with consistency because lots of us start things and we don't finish or we don't follow through because we don't see the instant gratification. But there
Mm-hmm.
with social media and building a business, there is none of that. And if you
Right.
can't get past that, this probably isn't for you because you have to be consistent. Like, unless you have 100,000 followers. Well, even that's not the case because you can have
No.
100,000 followers and be broke, but
Yep.
you can have 5,000 followers and be a
Yeah.
millionaire because
It
people.
depends on how you leverage that following, right? I mean, I've seen so many people on TikTok that, they have like 500,000 followers or something. People are like, "Oh, you must be like super well off." And then like they're like, "Nope, still having to get it like work my real job and all that stuff because they just, it depends on how you leverage it. And sometimes being an influencer, you know, it can be a great avenue, but not everyone is making $100,000 per brand deal, you know what I mean? Even if they have a huge following. Because as a content creator, you have to advocate for yourself. And if you're not like fighting for the numbers, then, you're not just going to get handed deals, even if you have a huge following, because they're just like, someone else is fighting harder and they have a smaller audience than you. And maybe it's better aligned or whatever. So, yeah, the follower count doesn't really matter in terms of income. And yeah, I agree. Like a lot of people are like thinking, oh, everything needs to be like perfect. And I need to have this like highlight reel. And, I can't have any commotion in the background, but that's just not realistic. And if you keep putting these constraints on yourself, you're never going to make moves towards growing your business or getting visible or anything. And yeah, we can't be relying on these instant gratification things either because that's not the reality of building a business. I mean, we've both been doing it for a very long time. You said you've been in space for 16 years. I've been here almost 10 years, not including my blog, but just in business generally for 10 years. So yeah, it's not an overnight thing. And the people that we see that do seem like overnight things, a lot of the time it wasn't an overnight thing, or maybe they did get lucky. There are some instances where people can build their business to, massive heights in 2 years, but that's not the reality for the majority of people out there. So, yeah.
Yeah, and it's up and down too. It's not like linear. And we were
Right.
just talking before this, like, there's a part of my business that I don't even want to do anymore. And that's okay because I have all these other things that now that's where I want to focus.
Mhm.
And I'm actually going to start a series about this and show people like what I'm doing because I honestly feel like people aren't sharing that. Like they're not sharing the behind the scenes of when it's time to pivot and when you can
Yeah.
do something different, but showing you how I'm actually doing it. Like I'm the person doing it, right? I'm the person that's like, okay, we're going to burn all these funnels down and I'm going to have this process, this offer suite. This is how I'm going to do things using this platform, this tool. Like that's what people want to see, right? They
Yeah.
they want to see that, not just you sharing tips. Like that's the old social media, to be honest. And if you
Mhm.
want to be visible and you want to really build something that people like buy into, then I think you have to just think different in your content creation. It's not the same anymore.
Yeah, yeah. I've seen a bigger trend of people like quote unquote building in public. So like pivoting and burning things down and restarting businesses and whatnot. And I feel like it's very interesting because in the past, like that would have been absolutely frowned upon to do that. They'd be like, well, why is she pivoting? Like, why does she need to pivot? But if anything, this year has proven that your business can't stay the same for bunches of years in a row because it's not sustainable and the market changes and we need to adapt, right? It doesn't mean you need to burn down every single aspect of your business tomorrow, but you just need to be adaptable and make sure that you're staying on top of things and, making sure you're staying on top of the different strategies and how the market is reacting and all those things. So, yeah, I think building in public is very cool, very interesting, and your series sounds really cool that you're, sharing that with people, like how you're pivoting in real time. So it's not just like all of a sudden they go from knowing you as this thing to overnight, they're like, what is this? Because that can be a big change for people too if they're used to you doing one thing for such a long time. So, yeah. So, what are some of the biggest mistakes that you see entrepreneurs making when they're trying to get visible online, and what should they be doing instead?
I think we kind of touched on this too, like just trying to be everywhere.
Yeah.
Like you said, pick 1 to 2 platforms, really dive deep into those. Like, for instance, Threads. I know you've been on Threads, I've been on Threads.
Hmm.
I love Threads, and it is a great
Yeah.
opportunity, but you also have to have a strategy. Like, you can't just be posting on there. You really have to test.
Hmm.
Marketing is like testing and trying things. And if you're not willing to do that, this is it's not going to work. Like, you just have to test it. So, Threads is a great tool, right? So just
Hmm.
testing these tools, whichever ones you want to choose, having a plan to say, okay, I'm going to post 3 pieces of content a week on Instagram. 2 of them are going to be reels, and 1 is going to be a carousel. 2 of them are going to focus on a call to action to join my event. You're going to, know what type of reels you're going to post. Boom. Those pieces of content have a purpose rather than you just posting some random trend because you
Mhm.
want the visibility, but are those people looking for like what you have to offer? So
Right.
having a plan like that and making it easier for yourself to show up because you understand that the content is what is going to get you the visibility. And you don't need 10,000 people. If you have a high ticket service, if you do retreats, if you do
Mhm.
events, you don't need 10,000 people. I've used Threads. This is my strategy. And I've never shared this yet, but I am going to probably eventually have like a Threads course or something, right? Because it's really been a great tool. But I've been
Mhm.
using it to get people to my event.
Mm.
So I create a post that generates a lot of interest of people. And then I personally, yes, go back to each person, send them a message on Instagram about the event. Now, some may respond, some may not, but it is still a numbers game. And it was like 300 people that responded to one of my posts. And I literally talked to all of them because it's about relationship building. Nobody is doing this online. Like it's really relationship building. It's not the same as people just buying something from you. The buyer, like you said, the behavior of buyers have changed. And sometimes you have to go back to the basics and really try to figure out these apps on how to best generate leads in a way that feels good to you. Like I love voice notes and like talking to people. I feel like what I have to give is really great. So I don't feel like I'm bothering anybody. And if you wanted the information, you asked me for it. So I'm going to
Mhm.
give it to you. And if you don't respond, cool. I'm going to follow up because the fortune is in the follow up.
Mhm.
And then I'm going to sell out of my event from different strategies that I'm doing. Like I'm posting on Instagram, yes. I'm sending emails, yes. I'm utilizing threads, but only the platforms that make me feel good. So that's the mistake, right? Trying to be
Mm.
everywhere and not really coming up with a strategy that works best for like you and your lifestyle.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's really important, and yeah, we did talk about that a little bit earlier too. It's like, yeah, you don't need to be everywhere, and you don't need to be places that you don't like either. Like, if you absolutely hate the platform, don't be on it, like, because it's just you're not gonna show up the way that you should. But yeah, and kinda circling back to Threads as well, I feel like it's such a fun platform, but you gotta be careful because I've noticed that when I post, like, more personal type posts, I get so many random people that are just, like, casual Threads users who, like, comment and stuff, and I'm like, "Well, maybe some of these people might be a good fit that if they wanna start a business and they're a mom. However, like, the majority of these people, like, there's no point in reaching them." But those are usually the posts that, like, quote, unquote, "explode," and you're like, "Oh, no." Like, great, it went viral, it had, thousands of people viewing it, but it's not all aligned people, so you gotta be careful there, like, I posted about watching Love Island one night, I think it was, and, like, I just got a whole bunch of random people. I'm like, "Okay, this is not my target audience," like, literally anyone who watches Love Island, that could be a variety of people, it's not only moms, so I was like, "Ooh, okay, I need to watch this." So, just be careful there if you're on that platform. It's a great platform, but sometimes a personal post can go a little crazy. I know back in the day, I remember I posted something, like, when we were selling our house before we moved into this one, it was something about, like, how people were requesting to come to my house, like, an hour, maybe 2 hours before, and it was always, like, at 6 p.m., and I get people, like, have work and stuff, but, at that time, my daughter was super young, she wasn't even a year old yet, so I, like, posted something, like, kind of annoyed and complaining, and it just, like so many people had commentary, and none of them were business people, and it was just, like, people were just, like, going off on that post, and it, like, I think it got 50,000 views or something, but it was just wild, so you gotta be careful there because if you post more personal posts, know that, yes, they will probably have better reach, but most of them will not be people that are gonna resonate with you aside from that one post. So
Yeah.
so if someone listening to this only has, like, a couple hours this week to do something that helps their visibility, what is, like, one small but mighty move that they can make to start, attracting more of their dream clients or customers or whatever that may be?
I think right now what's really working for a lot of people, if we were just talking about this too, joining other people's summits and bundles, doing
Mhm.
podcast interviews just like we're doing right now because me and Jenny did a podcast swap.
Mhm.
Doing things like that is going to help your visibility.
Right.
Okay, if you continue to do, and I love podcasting. If you all can't tell, I also have a podcast. I love this way to interact with other women who are also building and growing. It fuels me. So this is like exciting for me when I get to go on other people's podcasts and just talk social media and
Mhm.
podcasting and making money online because I love it, right? So leaning into what you love. So that could be an example that we give you, right? Summit, joining other people's summits and bundles and doing podcasts. Maybe it's
Mhm.
you post on Instagram in the stories and just be real raw and tell people what you're building and what you're doing. Like if you're a coach and consultant, maybe you're working on a new offer. Maybe you are, building a course. Share
Mm.
that, right? Because
Mhm.
getting people interested. So I would say start on whatever platform you're on that feels good because I can't make it cookie cutter because it's gonna look different for
Yeah,
everybody,
everyone
right?
has a different target audience, they have different time capacity, different interest in, like, social media platforms in general or platforms or even events, like, some people don't wanna speak on a podcast because 'cause they're super introverted or something, or some people don't wanna be on a summit because 'cause they're introverted. So, yeah, it's definitely gonna depend on you and your personality as to what is gonna be a good fit for sure.
And
Um,
and then just go for it and post
mhm,
content. That's the tip. If you're gonna start today, just post the content.
yeah, I love that. So, let's talk about ROI. So, how can someone tell if their visibility efforts are actually paying off? I know it's going to depend on the platform and things like that, but is there anything like we should keep in mind?
Yeah, I think if you start to see people are reaching out, maybe you're getting speaking engagements from threads. I have,
Hmm.
that's great ROI. Maybe people are now in my DMs and I'm having conversations. That's great ROI because I can close people in the DMs and I can close people. You have to like track these things too. You can't just have all
Hmm.
this in your head and it
Yeah.
just be a random like system. Like you want to
Hmm.
have a system so that you can see these things and then that way you can keep track of your ROI. Maybe you see how much money you're making from your stand store. I have a stand store. So I can say, oh, today I made $300.
Hmm.
They bought this, this, and this. I had 20 people sign up to my email list. That's the ROI that I'm tracking. So
Okay.
looking at your
Yeah,
numbers,
it's
your
gonna
analytics in
depend
that
for
way.
sure. But yeah, I definitely think analytics plays a huge part. Like this is something I teach to my podcast clients as well, because that's my main business as a podcast company. And a lot of people don't even think about it. They're just like so concerned with their downloads. But I'm like, let's talk about conversion. Like your downloads are fine, but like let's talk about conversions. Are you seeing people sign up for your email list? Are you seeing people jump in your paid programs from the podcast? Like, let's look at that because that's going to be more important than your download numbers. You could have 50 people listening to your show and make more money than someone who has hundreds of people, like multiple hundreds of people listening to their show because one person is utilizing call to actions and actually monetizing their show properly, and the other person is like never talking about their offers or anything. So it really depends. And, a lot of people think that certain things are a better metric to track. And depending on your goals, it might be, but you got to think about what your goals are and what is going to be the best metric to track based on those goals. Because, yeah, it might be downloads or it might be conversion. Or in terms of social media, you know, a lot of people are like, they focus on the follower count, right? But it's like, that's not like, let's look how many people DM'd you because of a post, right? Like, maybe you have mini chat or something set up. How many people like asked for the link to that freebie with your mini chat or something, or the masterclass or whatever you're promoting? That is a more important metric than, ooh, cool, I gained 30 new followers, in this week or whatever. So for the moms who feel like they've quote unquote tried everything and they're still not seeing traction when it comes to their visibility efforts, what would you say to them? And what do you find is often missing? Obviously, it's probably going to be different depending on the person, but what are some things that you've seen people are missing when it comes to that?
I think it's consistency. So many people say, oh, I'm not seeing the results or people are not signing up, but like we have to build that muscle to keep doing it. When I first did
Mm,
my a webinar, there were maybe nobody showed up. But I was like, okay, well, if I just keep doing this and keep at this, someone's gonna sign up. And
right.
I think we have to
Right.
have that mindset like that they will show up. But if we just stop, like most people do with podcasts, most people
Mm-hmm.
stop. They only have 8 episodes. They don't even go past.
Right.
Most
And then, like,
podcasts.
no one's even going to know that it existed because you didn't continue showing up for it. Yeah, I agree with that for sure.
So yeah, I think building that consistency muscle and just continuing to show up is what will help us. Because again, if we stop, that's it. But if we
Mhm.
keep going, then the results come. It's like the book Atomic Habits is right? You
Mhm.
have to build small steps towards your goal for you to see any type of movement. And if
Yeah.
you stop, and if then that's it. So you
Yeah.
won't have ROI, you won't have anything to track because you stop. And so,
'Cause you're not doing anything,
oh,
yeah. Of
right.
course, you're gonna have no downloads on your podcast or no new followers if you're not doing anything, right? Yeah, I totally agree with that. I feel like so many people get to the point where they just, like you said, like, if they're hosting a webinar or something, they don't get any signups, so they just, like, completely quit and they never do it again. Or they pivot and do something completely different, and then they don't get results, so they're constantly on this hamster wheel of doing something different to try and get results, and that's really not their best course of action, even though it might feel that way. They're like, "Oh, well, the people didn't want this, let me try something else." But a lot of the time, it's not that the people didn't want it, it's just a lack of audience. You just don't have the audience to support that yet, or the time that you were doing this webinar before didn't work for them, or it's something, like, super tiny that is, like, can be tweaked down the line. Doesn't mean you need to revamp your entire strategy. It's just ask your people. Like, one thing that I didn't do for the longest time, but I started doing a couple of years ago is, like, whenever I put out a new product or do a launch for something, not like every little tiny product. Like if I do a tiny flash sale, I'm not sending out a why didn't you buy email. But if I'm doing like a big push for something, I'll send like a why didn't you buy email. And that gives you so much insight into people. Like most of the time, it's not because your product sucks or they're not interested. There's plenty of reasons. It could be they can't commit to it right this second because something is super busy in their life. Maybe they have a really busy fall planned. Sometimes it's a price, which is totally understandable. There's lots of factors as to why someone didn't buy or didn't sign up for something or whatever. So, we shouldn't pivot our entire strategy every single time that happens. Like anytime that happens, we shouldn't just like completely be like, oh, this product sucks. Let me just ditch it and start new. Because that's really not, then you're just going to be on a constant content creation, product creation rabbit hole. And you're never going to actually sell the product because you're going to just keep pivoting. Like most people, the first time they sold their offer that is now their signature offer, they probably only made a handful of sales. If they would have stopped and be like, oh, only 3 people bought this, they wouldn't have the product and the business that they do today. So you got to give it some time. Like if after like 3 or 4 iterations, you're only getting a handful of people every time, sure, you might need to make some changes. But, if you just do it once and then you're just like, nope, this sucks. No one wants this. I'm scrapping it and, starting fresh. You're leaving a lot of money on the table. You're leaving so much time on the table because you're reinventing and creating a new product or new service or whatever that may be. So yeah, just be patient and keep going. And consistency is a huge part in that for sure.
For sure.
So, if someone listening wants to start treating visibility like a true growth lever, what is like the first mindset shift or system that you recommend that they adopt?
I definitely think the mindset shift is that we can do this. Like, I know that sounds so simple, but you can do it. If you really, like you said, have the strategy and the plan and like look at these platforms as a tool, you can attract all the clients using social media. And it doesn't even have to be hard. There's a lot of people doing it that it comes super easy to them. Yes, I know, but I think it's something that you just have to work at. And because building a business, obviously, if everybody could do it, then everybody would be doing it, and they're not, right? So just know that you're in an elite class of people who decided to go after their dreams and build something meaningful for their life. And I don't
Right.
think that that comes easy to anybody doing this, right? I know you, me, everybody who's doing this. I don't think that it comes easy, right? There's things and bumps in
No.
the road and things that happen. And just if we keep pushing forward, like you could reach your goals.
Hmm.
But I think that that's the first step is just to know that you can do it and then have the right systems, like you said, like having a stand store or whatever it is that you need to put someone through the customer journey to eventually buy from you, like having even the thought process that needs to happen because it's important. It's a lot of businesses and creators online. I mean, they don't have a customer journey and it's like
Hmm.
you want people to actually care too about like what you're doing, right? And you want the outcome to be good because that's how return customers come back. If they like the process, they keep coming
Hmm.
back. If they like the experience, they keep coming back. So I think that is where you should start.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that for sure. First, we got to start with putting ourselves out there and making our physical dreams a reality. Because, like you said, so many people don't do that. They don't put themselves out there. So you took that step to put yourself out there, like follow through with it. Don't give up on yourself just because one person said no, or, you know, whether that's a client or a customer, or you pitched to be on a podcast and they said no, like don't give up altogether. That is such an important thing to keep in mind. Yeah. So, do you have any final tips you'd like to share with us before we wrap up?
Yes, this has been a great episode. I mean, go back and rewind. There's a lot of gems in here. We shared a lot of good tips. I think just think about, like I said, visibility is currency. And
Hmm.
when you show up that in a way that works for you, okay, I'm
Right.
not these other Instagram social media gurus telling you post 60 times a day. No, post what feels right to you and just have a plan on how you're managing all of this
Yeah.
because you have to have a plan. Like, we can't just continue to throw stuff at the wall and hope that it sticks.
Hmm.
That stops working really quick and then, like, you're stuck. So I would just
Right.
have multiple ways that you get clients, and maybe that's networking, using social media, like
Hmm.
having a podcast, but again, in a way that works for you.
Right. Right. Yeah. We don't want to overwhelm ourselves with too many things that we need to do, but we also don't want to like box ourselves in and only be like, this is the one place that I'm showing up. I'm not doing anything else. Cause like, if that way stops working for you, then you are like, oh my God, my inbox is tumbleweeds. No one is applying to work with me, or no one's purchasing or whatever, because that way stopped working. So we shouldn't put all our eggs in one basket either. But you also want to make sure, like, if you commit to multiple things, that you can keep up with them. So don't overwhelm yourself with platforms, but also don't put all your eggs in one basket too, because that can also be a bad thing as well. So we got to figure out like how to kind of keep up with more than one thing without being overwhelmed. So really finding the sweet spot there is really, really important. So awesome. So just share your website, your socials, your podcast, all the things. I'll make sure linked in the show notes as well.
Yes, if you wanna connect with me, you can connect with me on Instagram at Michelle L. Thames, and everywhere else, I'm Michelle Thames. I also have a podcast, Social Media Decoded. If you wanna learn more about visibility, showing up online, and just using social media as a tool, I share a lot of great information. It's a plethora, okay? So you can binge episodes. There's over 500 that you can go in and binge, and they're really short. And yes, if you want, to learn more about how you can get visible, I do have a 7-day visibility experience. It's all
Hmm.
audio. So if you're listening to podcasts, obviously you like to listen to audio. So you can listen to this and a system and a plan in 7 days to help you get more visible on social media. So I'll share that with your
Awesome.
audience as well.
Awesome. I love that. Well, cool. I will link everything in the show notes down below so you guys can go check out Michelle and all her awesome stuff. But yeah, thank you so much for being here. I enjoyed chatting with you.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. I really hope you enjoyed it. I'd love it if you would head on over to our free Facebook group called Moms Make Money Collective to connect with us further. If you're more of an Instagram fan, make sure you're following us on Instagram at Moms Make Money Collective. If you're loving the show, make sure to leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcast. Your feedback means the absolute world to us. We'll see you in the next episode.